Hello and welcome to episode 143 of the Mouses Makes Knitting podcast. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse. And it is the 2nd of July 2024 and I am wrapped up warm in a big cardigan and a long sleeve t-shirt because I'm absolutely freezing. Partly because the weather's not very warm and partly because I had a bit of a busy weekend and I spent a lot of Sunday sitting in a field and I got cold and I've not been warm since. But that's not what you're here for. Knit-alongs. July has begun and so the Christmas in July knit-along is underway. I'll be showing you what I've cast on later. Yeah, there's a bit of a story there. There's also the Breezeway knit-along, which runs until the 31st of August, and the Yarn Show make-along, which also runs until the 31st of August. Christmas in July knit-along runs until the 31st of July. Entry for all of those is on Ravelry on the Mouses Makes page. You will find links below the video to the threads to enter each of the three. You can share your projects on Instagram, but if you're wanting me to see them, you need to tag me. There is a hashtag you can use for the Christmas in July make-along, and that is hashtag mouses.xmas.in.july, all lowercase, but you will need to also tag amandajane.davies58. I have to think about that. Otherwise I won't see it. Instagram are doing something weird with hashtags where they only show you the most popular posts under any hashtag, and as a consequence you don't see everyone's. So entry is purely by the Ravelry threads. Anything you share on Instagram is just sharing. There's no entry there. If you can't use Ravelry but you want to enter for any of those three make-alongs, you can email me your entry at mousesmakes@gmail.com. This is so many things to remember. It's very hard. I think that's everything I needed to tell you. I'm just going to check my notes because you know what I'm like. Nope, that's everything. Okay. Last week I pulled out the jar which is attached to the shelf of shame, two projects. One of them was a poncho that I wasn't sure that I was going to continue with, and I'm not. I have pulled it down. I've also pulled down a sweater that I'd done about that much of. They're both in Serdar Jewel Spun, and I'm going to knit cardigans with the two yarns instead because I'll get far more use out of a cardigan. And I've also pulled down a tea, another Sonnenstunden tea, that I wasn't loving the colours I was using, so I've pulled it down. And that took me down to 34 works in progress. So last week I worked on the other project that I'd pulled out, which happened to be one of my Advent projects from last year. It's a cowl that I'm knitting with yarn from, let me work this out, 2022. It's a 2022 Advent from Discreet Unicorn. Hang on, I've tied myself up in a knot here, and I'm using Yarnsmith's Create DK and holding the Advent yarn double. And I have got a lot done. I don't know if you can see just there. That's the progress keeper. It's a bit camouflaged. So I've done all of that in a week. I've pretty much doubled the length of it. And I'm going to probably knit that much again. And then I suspect I'll still have some yarn left over that I might make mitts or a hat to match. This pattern has been adapted from the oh my word! Someone's borrowed my teeth and hasn't given them back. This pattern has been adapted from the Mousewitch KAL by Jackie Verbeek, which is a free pattern. It's a slip stitch pattern. Really easy to memorise, very effective. I did spend a whole evening winding all the minis in chronological order, but starting from day 25 into, it's a Russian join ball rather than a magic knot ball, so that I could just knit without worrying. I think, bearing in mind we're doing Christmas in July and this is an Advent project, I think I will keep this out to carry on working on through July. I would quite like to have all my Advent projects from last year finished before December this year, even if I finish nothing else, because it just seems a bit mad to have some hanging around still. I'm sorry, I'm squashing the ball because it feels weird. It feels like there's an empty space, and I know there isn't. Pardon me, I just had my lunch. And now I've got hiccups. Sorry. Yeah, so plus I'm enjoying knitting it. I'm going to keep this out because I can just do a few rounds here and there just to keep it going. It's enjoyable to knit. I took it with me on Sunday. You might have seen the reel on Instagram that I posted. I took it with me to the event I went to on Sunday, which was a military vehicle show that Dave's friends were taking their World War II Jeep and other stuff too, and Dave went along with some of Ewan's collection of uniforms and things, and I just went to keep them company really. I stayed for a couple of hours. I missed all the setting up and I missed all the clearing away. I just went for lunch really, had a nice picnic, and I took that with me and just sat and did some knitting and used it as a tiny blanket to keep my very cold knees warm. What else? My other blanket, well, it's not really other because that's not a blanket. I don't know quite what I'm talking about today. I'm knitting, no I'm not. I'm crocheting 10 squares a month, 5 from the Mousewitch Yarn's Mystery Mini Club and 5 from the Yarn Unique Mystery Mini Club. And at the end of the year, well, come December, I will have 120 squares that I'm then going to, over the course of Advent, join together 5 a day. And then by the end of, I think I worked it out by Christmas, so the end of Advent, I should have a finished blanket. That's the plan. Anyway, I can show you June's colours now because June is gone. Each month I dye them up according to an inspiration photograph, and this one was June's. It's a coral reef. Reef. That is right, reef. Coral reef with some fish. I probably need a nap. And these are the colours that I dyed up. So there's the orange, orangey red, a pale corally colour, a limey green, pale blue, and this one, which is my absolute favourite. This will appear in the shop later in the year. What I'm doing, oh, I don't know if you saw, this is variegated, it's not solid. What I'm doing is, any of the colours that I especially like, I'm keeping a note of how they were done. And later in the year, or next year possibly, they will appear as full skeins. This one is certainly going to do that. Yes, so they're all crocheted up and blocked, ready to be put away in their box. There are 2 boxes of June, these are the June colours, left in the shop. And I think there are 2 boxes of the March. Yeah, 2 boxes of March left as well. The others are all sold out, apart from July, which has only just gone in. Now, where did I put that? This. So, there's no theme to my... I'm saying and a lot. I'm tired and my brain's just not catching up with me. There's no theme to my mystery mini club, but Yarn Unique's theme is Journey Through Space, and this month it was the Aurora Borealis. And it says here on this little card, unprecedented Aurora Borealis, that thing, light shows were seen across the UK this year, leading to a colourway celebrating the phenomenon's cause. Solar storms on the sun's surface give out huge clouds of electrically charged particles which react in our atmosphere. Using the latest photography methods, NASA has captured these great images of the recent storms, and this has become the May Journey to the Stars colourway. So that's the inspiration picture, and I've just realised, if you haven't received this yet, look away and I'll tell you when it's safe to look again. It is May's. May's came at the end of June, and that's how it's gone each month. So I'm calling it the June colourway, and that way when I get to December, October's come at the end of November. I had it all worked out anyway. You can see the state my brain is in today. I'm not going to try and work it all out again. But I should have, at the end of the year, my blanket with 120. This is a 13-month as I've signed up for it. So I'll have a spare 5 that will go into something else that I'll talk about nearer the time. But I should have all the squares I need to lay out and sort out and then start my blanket at the beginning of Advent. Anyway, if not, I'll do it through January instead. That might be a better idea, actually. That's just occurred to me. I could do it like an Advent through January, couldn't I? I might do that instead. Right, if you've ordered this and haven't yet received it, look away. This month there is a little progress keeper, stitch marker. I won't say what it is because that will give the game away if you've not yet received it. But it's in keeping with the theme. These I have not yet crocheted, but I'm going to attempt to hold them up all in one hand. You know how well this goes normally, so that you can see them all together. Let's turn you around. I need bigger hands. Okay. Those are this month's colours. And I've taken them away now so you can look. There are, as usual, well, no, there's normally one that I would have liked a sweater's quantity of. In this one there's 4. So yes, this has been very successful. Tuck that all away. And that's all the whips I've got for you, because I only worked on those two things last week. I crocheted up my squares and blocked them, and I worked on the cowl. That's a lie. I did have a bit of a try doing some socks, and it set off the pain in my hand and my wrist so badly that I've decided I probably can't touch socks for a few weeks. It's something to do with the way I hold the yarn, I don't know. But it does make my already quite grumpy wrist and arthritic thumb very angry with me. So I'll find other things to do in the meantime. Okay. I'm looking at my list. I told you about the frogging I've been doing. Christmas in July. I have cast on new things. One of which... Okay, first of all, let me show you what I've got in this. In here is the Mousewitch Yarn advent from last year, which was the colour play advent. And I cast it on, I'm pretty sure on the 1st of December. As I opened it, I cast it on, and I cast on a longest day shawl. And that lasted, I don't know, less than a week, and I pulled it out. And then I started crocheting a blanket. I'm going to put a picture in here. It's really, really pretty. It looks quite small. It's folded in half. But again, crocheting, and it was on quite a small hook. I think it was on a 3mm hook. Anyway. That was a bit of a no-no as well. So that hasn't been touched for probably 6 months. And I thought about Christmas in July, and I thought, well, it's an ideal time to get they're almost all, leftover advent projects from last year finished. So, sorry, something strange happened in next door's garden that drew my attention. I pulled that down as well, and I've started this. Now, before I show it to you, I just want to apologise for the fact that I was too impatient to reskein and soak the yarn that I pulled out, and so it looks all crinkly. It'll be fine once I've given it a soak and blocked it, but at the moment it's looking a little bit like an old dish rag, so please forgive that. I've started another mitered square blanket with it. So this was day 1, this is day 2. And in between there are undyed squares. I'd like to claim this was my idea, but it kind of wasn't. Abby, if you watch Blue Heart Crochet, lovely, lovely Abby, had the Mousewitch Advent and the My Yarny Corner Advent last year, and she was making a corner to corner blanket with them, corner to corner squares, join as you go, and she was doing a Mousewitch, a plain square, a My Yarny Corner, a plain square, and it looked so nice that I thought, oh, I wish I'd done that with mine. But my Yarny Corner Advent, I've knit well over half of a blanket with, and I don't really want to pull it out. I'm quite pleased with how that's going. So I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm just using the Mousewitch Advent, and obviously I'm knitting, not crocheting, because the crocheting aggravates my wrist. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with that. I knit a test square a couple of times. I've settled on a 4mm needle. Let me show you this square, because this one hasn't been knit and then pulled down, or crocheted and pulled down. I'm quite happy with that. It's very drapey, but I just want a bit of a lap blanket. Not a big, thick, heavy one. Just chuck it over your knees if you're a bit chilly on a summer's evening type. And I'm using undyed. I don't know if I said that bit. I'm using undyed between the colours. So there'll be 48 squares eventually. Hang on. I've got a schematic. So on a post-it note, I drew up a schematic and I've put the numbers of all the days. I've very poorly rubbed out some, but the point being that I don't have to work in order. So I can go along there and then I can add some up here, but I won't get the days out of order. They will be, I can look for the right day to put into the right slot, as it were. I've enjoyed that very much. I cast that on Saturday, I think. I think it was Saturday I finally decided on the needle size I was going to use. I was hoping to use up a whole 20-gram mini. I haven't managed that. In this little bag that I won from a joint podcast that Ruth from Ruth Loves to Knit and Hannah from Hannah's Happy Space did. I won... Sorry, I'm confused. There's 3 balls in there and there should only be 2, but I think one came here. I've got that much left over from a 20-gram mini. This is very disjointed today and I am sorry. I should just have gone and had a nap. The problem is when I get cold, when anybody gets cold, your body produces cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and that affects your kidneys and it makes your kidneys work overtime, and mine are working overtime and I don't think they're working very efficiently because I'm very, very foggy, and yes, I think there may be some toxins building up, but I have a hospital appointment tomorrow, so that'll be nice. Completely forgot what I was talking about. While I'm on the subject of hospitals, though, it makes me reminds me that I wanted to tell you about Poppy. Poppy didn't see the vet yesterday as she was supposed to. The vet had to be elsewhere, but we spoke to the vet that saw her last time and he agreed that we were absolutely right. One of the injections that was meant to last for 3 weeks has run out. She should still be under the influence of the 3rd injection, which was a steroid. But what he's going to do is repeat the injections. So I've got the hospital tomorrow morning. Poppy's got the hospital tomorrow afternoon. And yeah, hopefully what he's done with... I'm sorry if you've come into the middle of this and you don't know what's going on with Poppy, but it's a long, long story. What he's hoping is that his experience tells him that sometimes with cats, with whatever it is that Poppy's got, if you repeat this treatment 2, 3, sometimes 4 times, it kind of puts them back on track. He doesn't think she'll ever be as well as she used to be, but she should be better than she is currently. More like she was a couple of weeks ago when all her injections were kind of in full working order. So that's what we're hoping. And in the meantime, she's having these injections again, which should bump her up for the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping, really, really hoping, that when we see the vet tomorrow and he weighs her, she will have put on some weight, because for 2 weeks she did nothing but ask for food. So if she hasn't put on weight, I'll be very surprised. Okay, that was one new thing I cast on. That, like the Advent cowl, I'm just going to keep going all through the month with The idea being, hopefully, that come the end of the month, that's finished and the cowl is finished, and that's 2 of the Advent projects that were outstanding done. Then there's still the blanket that I was making with the My Yarny Corner Advent, and a shawl that I was making with a Ducky Darlings Advent. So who knows, that will then give me August, September, October, November to get those finished. And now we come to my little disaster. I cast on, hang on, I'm shifting in my chair. I cast on a sweater. I only cast it on last night. It is the Silver Forest sweater by Jennifer Steinglass. Now, it's constructed in a way that I've not done before. You start with a provisional cast on and you start off down here. So you cast on the maximum number of stitches that you're going to need, and then you work upwards. And then when you finish that, you pick up your stitches, get rid of your provisional cast on and work down. And I thought, oh, that sounds quite interesting. So I cast on. This is my provisional cast on, is the white bit. It's the, is it cow yak? Cast on with cast on waste yarn and knit. So you do a few rows and then you join on, no, you start using your ordinary colour, your proper colour, you know what I'm trying to say, and then you carry on. Oh, I think the postman might finally have arrived. He was only due yesterday. So I did that. There were many stitches. Don't fall off your chairs, but I'd swatched, and as a result of my swatch I went down a size. And I did my few rows and then I changed to my main colour, and I did all the short row shaping that was necessary, and then I started working the colour work.
Someone is at the front door.
Ewan's downstairs, but clearly he's not opening the door. Bear with. Sorry about that. Right, so where had I got to? I started the colour work, and because I was doing the colour work, I had the pattern suggests you go up a needle size, which is something I don't normally bother with. I don't find it's necessary. I have other little tricks that I use. I knit colour work inside out and I stretch it along the needle every few stitches. But it said change the needle, so I changed the needle. Which meant that it's now on 2 needles and I can see how wide it is. Bear in mind I swatched, okay? I, the president of the Anti-Swatch Club, did a swatch. And I went down a size. And I'm going to show you what I have. So we're looking at it being about here. Do you see my problem? Would anyone like to come and get in it with me? Because there's plenty of room. So, I'll be pulling this down and starting again, which I can't say I'm very, very much looking forward to. The main problem is the casting on of several billion stitches. And I've now got to cast on again. Apparently, And I know this happens. And it's one of the reasons I don't generally bother. My swatch lied. And so, even though I went down a size, I have a size that's, well, you can see, at least half a size bigger than I actually need. Now this is the maximum amount of stitches that the sweater will ever have. So it's across both arms, front and back. But even so, it's a few more than necessary. So I'll be pulling it down. But I might as well show you, whilst I have this, the yarn that I'm using. This is my main colour. I don't know how well it's coming out. This, I think it's coming out a bit more blue. This is a, I don't know, there's a big bit there, a wider bit. This is Yarn Smith's Merino Sock, and it is the colourway Fjord, which is, I have of course left the ball band downstairs. It is colour number 2K525 Fjord. For the colour work, I've got this minty green, which is one of my own, but it's just a one of a kind. It doesn't have a name. I just thought it would make a nice contrast. And then black and a white, again, Yarn Smith's Merino Sock. Turn round. I think it's off-white actually, not white. So the black is 2K000 and the off-white is 2K045. And this is going to be the border. Let me, hang on. I'd never make it as a juggler, would I? So obviously the Fjord blue is the main colour, and then where you've got the darkest colour here, so the edging is going to be in the minty green, and then I think the background of the colour work black, and then the little trees and snowflakey bits in the off-white. That's my plan anyway. So I've remeasured my gauge. I mean, seriously, look at it. Can you imagine if I hadn't have gone down a size? I could have just made a tent. I've remeasured my gauge from my actual work, and I didn't actually think to look how many sizes I will need to go down. Let me do that quickly now. Sorry. That's not very helpful. Okay. Oh well. So I actually need to go down to a size that isn't on the pattern. I don't know how I can be so very, very off. Maybe I need to recount my stitches. So according to this, what I need to do is go right down to the very smallest size, which is for a 34.75 bust. That is not me. That's 4 sizes smaller. I may have to do some stitch counting, because something has clearly gone very, very wrong somewhere, and my gauge isn't that far off. I'm just wondering, because sometimes, no, it does say sizes listed are actual finished sweater measurements. Choose a size with a recommended ease of 2 to 5 inches. Well, I've got a little more than 5 inches, I think. I've got more like 18 inches. I may have to recalculate, and there may have to be some fiddling around. Anyway, that's what I'm planning on working on this week. It might take me the whole week to get it the right size. But I have 2 other things planned to cast on. Next week is the very, very lovely Nancy from the Kitty Scrapper podcast. She has a birthday next week. It's actually the same day as my eldest son's, which is how I remember it so well. And it's a special birthday. I don't know if you remember me telling you earlier in the year that a lot of my friends group have got decade birthdays this year. Well, Nancy is one of those. And she has asked that within our friends group we have a Stephen West knit along in honour of Nancy's birthday. Now, as you can imagine, I didn't need much persuading. I have changed my mind about the pattern that I was going to cast on. Originally, I'd been going to cast on an Aurora Cabin sweater, which is knitting fingering weight, and I'd been going to do the colour work in Christmas colours, so I could tie the 2 things together. Christmas in July and Nancy's birthday knit along. But then Nancy said that she would like it if people could cast things on in black and neon, because that's very Nancy. And as I'm sure you will realise, I didn't need much persuading there either. So I changed my original plan, because I have a lot of black Yarnsmiths Create DK, but that was a fingering weight sweater. So I've changed my plan, and I'm now going to knit the bubble sweater. This is it. Background in black, and each row of the bubbles will be in a different neon. Now, they're not very bright neons. They are a mini skein set that I was playing with, and it didn't come out quite as I wanted. Let me see if I can, I'm juggling again. Let me see if I can arrange it in such a way that I can show it to you in its progression. When the Lord was putting me together, he didn't realise I'd need bigger hands, did he? So, that's how they're going to go. And I don't know yet whether I'm going to go from green at the top to pink at the bottom, or pink at the top and green at the bottom. I might go that way actually. The pink seems to suit my colouring better. I mean, whose colouring doesn't suit shocking pink? Nobody's. So that's next week's cast on, because the birthday is next week. And then the following week, I'm going to cast on another cowl. Another one? Yes. Because I am quite enjoying knitting round and round and round. Oh, I should point out the neons are fingering weight. I'm going to hold them double. Then the last cast on is going to be another cowl. It's the Forest Fern cowl, and it's again a Jennifer Steingast pattern. I don't know if you can see. Can you make out? It's not a very good picture. Let me see if there's a better picture. I don't think there is. No, I can't really show you the chart. They are like little Christmas trees. I don't think you can see that very well. But I've pulled out a stash again. This colour, which is a sparkle base. I don't know, this was a gift and I don't know whose yarn it is. I don't know what the colourway is called. But I tucked it away in a drawer of Christmas yarns and I fished it out. And it is pink, purple, a bright turquoise and green. And then I also pulled out, and this was in one of my Advent Sunday sock sets. This is 85-25 and my ball winder does not like 85-25 yarn. It is too soft and slippery, and so I ended up having to wind it by hand because it just kept, you know how when you cake the yarn up it goes from top to bottom as the thing turns. Well, it just kept sliding over the top and coming off the other side. So I gave up and just finished it by hand. This is also sparkle. I don't think you're going to be able to see the sparkle on either of them. But this one has gold sparkle, this one has silver sparkle. And I don't think anybody's going to notice the difference, quite frankly. Because it's just going to be a case of it'll catch the light every now and again. At the moment, I have not decided which is going to be the main colour and which is going to be the trees. I think it would look better with this as the trees, little snowy trees, but equally I can kind of see what it would look like with this as the main colour and then multicoloured trees. But my concern about that is that this is quite strongly coloured and will show through, the floats will show through on this. So it will probably be main colour, contrast colour. Got a little while to think about that. And after that, I won't be casting anything else on in July, she says. We all know that'll probably change by the time we get there. Because I think I've got plenty to be working on for Christmas in July. So essentially what I was trying to say was next week I'll be casting on a sweater that's not really particularly Christmassy. Though it kind of is, I suppose, but it's not. It wouldn't fit in with the rules of my knit along, which were that it has to be Christmas colours, the name has to be something Christmassy, the theme has to be something Christmassy. So the sweater, this, has got Christmas trees on. There's little Christmas trees and snowflakes. That makes it Christmassy. The KAL has got Christmas trees on. The bubble sweater, that's pushing it a bit. But I can't enter my own knit along, so it doesn't really matter, does it? The blanket I'm knitting with Advent yarn. That's permissible. It's an Advent. So, I don't know. If you're undecided about what you could enter, that might help. Probably useful information for me to have given you at the beginning, but yes, brain all over the place. So, having cast those two things on, that's taken my whip count back up to 36. So I have 4 gaps, if you like, that I can fill should I want to. without going over my self-imposed limit of 40 projects. Okay. I think that is everything. Somebody's rung next door's doorbell. I don't know if you can hear the dog having a bark. So I should probably go now and pull down that sweater and start all over again. Because, yes, that's apparently what I like to do. I'll see you next week. I feel like there's something else I was supposed to tell you. That's why I'm hanging around. I really feel like there's something else I was supposed to tell you. I remembered. My friend Tonya and my friend Belinda are both doing Christmas in July vlogs. I will link both their podcasts below should you wish to have a daily vlog that you can look at, because I won't be doing that. That was the thing I was trying to remember. Okay, I'm definitely going to go now. I will see you next week. Until I see you again, everybody have a lovely week. Bye guys.